Hey, yo, what up? Welcome back. This is not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. Shout out to everybody that's been watching, subscribing to the channel, liking, commenting, joining the community tiers and stuff like that. Dropped the video yesterday about my thoughts on hip hop media and some of the things that's going on. Been getting a huge reaction from it in the comment section on Twitter, from my peers, from some of the people I spoke about within that video. So, look, man, I think these conversations are good and they're healthy for us to kind of move forward and really advance this thing that we all love, man. I love doing it. Y'all love watching and consuming it. I love watching and consuming it too. I'm a fan as well. So, always down to have these conversations and speak for real, man. And the real hope is that I hope that it leads us to a better place, to a healthier place, to a doper place. You know what I'm saying? But I'll leave that there. I want to talk about, what a difference a year makes. It is May 3rd. Last year on May 3rd, landing on the Friday. We got 3 tracks in the Kendrick Lamar versus Drake battle. Started off with 616 in LA, which dropped early in the morning, 616 Pacific time to be exact. 919 where I'm at over here on the East Coast. So that was very deliberate. Of course, the 616 in LA is a timestamp reference to Drake's famous and dope timestamp series. Those are probably my favorite raps from Drake that exist within those timestamp series. So Kendrick just giving a little nod, a little jab, taking from Drake right there. I remember I was in Brooklyn that morning. My dad, I was speaking to y'all about it in real time. My dad was in the hospital, and I feel like he was just getting out or just released and just needed help getting around to back and forth to doctor's appointments, etc. So I remember that dropped. And I remember wanting to make a video right away, but I wasn't in position. But during that battle, during that time when I was really starting out this channel, y'all was supporting the hell out of me, so I appreciate it. So we get 616 in LA. Dope. Really dope. And it's just feeling like a normal day, right? Like we got something from, it was a couple of days after Euphoria, and it was like, all right, we'll get something from Drake. Drake will respond eventually. But around 11:23 roughly, and I'm going by the Twitter time, by the time that Drake tweets the link, Drake drops Family Matters. 3 tracks in one. There was also the Buried Alive freestyle too on Drake's IG. But we got Family Matters at around 11:23, and then at 12 a.m., about 37 minutes later, we get Meet the Grams. Again, I'm going by the time that each artist tweeted out their thing, because at least that's when I became aware of it. I don't know what time it was actually uploaded to their YouTubes or uploaded wherever, but 11:23 and then 12 a.m. And that was heavy. That 37 minutes, digesting what Drake was saying in Family Matters, and then having to sit there and hear Kendrick's rebuttal and Meet the Grams and having to digest that was a heavy and those were stressful listens. I'm a fan of rap. I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of, but I was like, oof. This, I don't remember getting 2 diss tracks like that back to back. We've never seen that within minutes apart. We've never seen that. That was a day. That is something that I never forget, and I know a lot of y'all will never forget. So a year later, where are we at? That's what I want to discuss. I'm gonna pose some questions to you that I want y'all to go into the comments and let me know. I truly want to hear from you, no matter what your opinion is. Again, as long as we're respectful, I appreciate everybody's opinion. But where are we at? Here's my questions for y'all. Because that Friday night, that Family Matters and To Meet the Grams got so ugly and took such a turn, where did this turn from a friendly fade, from a battle about who's the best, motherfuck the big three, it's just Big Me, to a back and forth, complete with allegations of domestic violence, hidden daughters, pedophilia, drug use, alcoholism, love triangles, like all of the stuff, and now a lawsuit that we're waiting between Drake and UMG. When did this turn from a friendly fade to that? What was the moment? And could this have ever went a different way, or was this inevitable? Was it always gonna get this personal, this ugly, this deep? It's really kind of no right or wrong answer here. This is a game of what if, because the reality we're dealing with is that it did get here, and none of us really know. So, we're just going to have a little theorizing with it. Again, I respect all y'all opinions as long as y'all are respectful to me and respectful to each other, man. Let's rock. But the night that Family Matters and Meet the Grams dropped was a heavy one. Dropped one after another. And it was funny because so much of the conversation before this, before Euphoria, was the concept of the clock, right? And we were talking about this. If you go back to my videos from a year ago, we were talking about this, the concept of the clock. Kendrick has to drop. Kendrick's taking too long to respond to push-ups. When's Drake gonna drop? Okay, now Drake's on the clock. Now Kendrick's on the clock. And I said it then. I never believed in the concept of a clock, because a year later, you won't even care about who dropped when. You just care about the records. People will forget the time it took, but you'll remember how the records made you feel. I think it's a mistake in this modern era that rappers make. I think if you go to like Megan versus Nicki, right? Hiss and then Bigfoot, I think it was a mistake for Nicki to drop so soon. I felt like those 8 bars on Bigfoot were like, I was interested when they were teased, like, oh, this is strong. Okay, this could go somewhere. And then when she dropped the rest of the track, the best part to me was like in the first 8, or whatever count, but the beginning of the record. But there's this pressure to rush the record, to drop the record. And I feel like, and I just use Nicki and Megan as an example. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? Like, but there's a lot of artists who feel like, even with Cardi and Bia, and that fizzled out. But I felt like there was a pressure for Bia to like drop the record and to rush the record. And it's like, yo, if you gotta dope this record, take your time. Do it on your time. Like that rush stuff is just gonna lead to rush start. The record's not gonna be as good. It's just people kind of egging you on because we all want to see it. We're all excited. But a year later, you don't even remember the time. Like, you have to look up the time. It's like what you remember more of is how impactful the record was. So drop an impactful record. I don't believe in the clock. So that's that. But on that day, on May 3rd, the pace picked up crazy, right? Think about it. Like That was March 22nd. Push-Ups came, I believe, April 13th, but was officially released on the 19th. It took a while for Drake to like claim the record and then kind of put it out for real. Taylor Made Freestyle came on the 19th. Then April 30th, we got Euphoria. Then Dot Doesn't Wait for a Response. 616 in LA, May 3rd. Then Family Matters later that evening. Then Meet the Grams right after that. Then not even 24 hours later, and Saturday evening, afternoon, if you're on the West Coast, Not Like Us. And then the day after that, that Sunday, Heart Part 6, and then it's over after that. You know what I'm saying? I maintain this about Family Matters, right? I think Family Matters was a strong diss track. I think Family Matters was a strong track. 3 songs in one. Really would have gotten most rappers out of the paint. I do feel by this point, though, Drake was better off aiming at Kendrick solely. I think everybody else was a distraction. I think Kendrick was the clear and present danger. And I was saying this in real time a year ago. It's almost like, my brother always taught me this in fighting. If you're getting jumped, as Drake said, it was a 20v1. So to Drake, he had many opponents, man. Hey, man, punch the biggest one in the mouth. Like go after, because you might take a whooping anyway, man. But I'm the main threat. The main threat's gonna be the main threat, man. You know what I'm saying? So, I think at this point, he was better off just focusing on Kendrick. Kendrick was the main threat. Kendrick was the clean present danger. Kendrick was the match. Kendrick was the one to worry about. I don't think any of these other guys. Weeknd is not a threat. Not in a rap battle. Ross wasn't a threat at this point. I know there were a lot of people who liked the Ross record, but how many people can name it right now off the top without looking it up if you can name the Ross record right off the top? Ross wasn't really a threat. Not at this point. Metro's not a threat because he doesn't rap. BBL Drizzy was funny, but Metro's not like really a threat. There was no real smoke for Future. Rocky set himself up for failure. Like, shout to Rocky, but again, when you just talk about strategically, I don't think Rocky employed good strategy and wasn't really a match for Drake. Even though Drake's bars against Rocky were dope. But we didn't press play for that. When you press play, oh shit, Family Matters. Oh man, I can't wait to hear what he's going to say about ASAP Rocky. Nobody was thinking that. It was like, man, what's he going to do going at Kendrick? So, I think part of the failure of Family Matters, again, still a dope diss, but I'm saying the failure in the grand scheme of this battle was, man, that by this point in the timeline, you should be focusing aimlessly at Kendrick, squarely at him. It was like on the Duppy freestyle. Pusha T was the clear and present danger. Pusha T is the one you got to worry about, especially like lyrically. But so much of the song was aimed at Kanye. You kind of took your eye off of the guy. But Family Matters is dope rapping. Can't deny that. You know what I'm saying? Drake shot a video for this. You could tell he was invested in the record. I think he felt like this was the one. I think he felt like maybe that there wasn't a response for it, that this was the pinnacle for him because, again, too, because on hindsight, looking back at it, because he didn't have anything else after it, really, that was potent. The Heart Part 6 wasn't it. So I think the fact that they put 3 records in one, the fact that he shot a video for this, got a van, a Good Kid, Mad City van lookalike, and crushed it up and shot in New Ho King, and I think in his mind and his team mind felt like we're gonna drop this Family Matters and there's no coming back from this. And I don't know if they thought about the what if, right? And the what if, it got dark. It got dark. I want to go back though, but also to Family Matters again because of the mentions, right? So Drake's feeling away because he says that Kendrick mentioned his son. You mentioned my seed, now you got to deal with his bad. I gotta go bad. I gotta go bad. Mention my seed, now you gotta deal with his dad. Gotta go bad. I gotta go bad. And then he had the other line, could have left the kids out of this. Don't blame me. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, it's a reference to Euphoria, right? On Euphoria, Kendrick goes, why would I call around trying to get dirt on you? Think all my life is just rap? That's whole shit. I got a son to raise, but I can see you don't know nothing about that. So there's a bit of semantics here, right? And this goes on to what you believe. This is me in the comment section asking y'all. Did Dot technically mention Drake's son? Technically, he didn't. He said, I got a son to raise. Me, I'm referencing my son. I got a son to raise, but you don't know nothing about that. So I'm like, hey, I got my son. My son is a priority. You don't know anything about making your son a priority. But my son, I got a son, and you don't know nothing about that. Isn't like directly mentioning his kid. And of course, this is after the Whitney mention and push-ups. But when tension is up, if you're Drake on the receiving end of this, tempers are running high. Just even the hint of mentioning something remotely close to my son, I could see how he takes it that way. Like, you're not thinking the very logical, mathematical way that I just said it. Like, you're upset. And you're not saying, well, technically he didn't mention my son, so I can't go there. So at any perceived mention of it, he's ready to go off. Because he was ready to go off anyway, right? Because tensions are high on both sides. Tempers flare on both sides, I'm sure. But technically, Dot didn't mention his son. So Drake escalates it further, right? Alleging that Kendrick beats his child's mother and that one of the kids wasn't his and it was Dave Freeze instead. And then 37 minutes later, we get Meet the Grams. Super personal. I've said this before. I believe Kendrick had a number of records in tuck with different tones based on how Drake responded, how personal he would get. If Family Matters doesn't mention Whitney and the kids and the whole Dave Free thing, I do not believe that we get Meet the Grams. Meet the Grams is like, to me, matching the energy of Family Matters, but raising it, taking it another, okay, this is your disrespect, I'm going to take it a level further. But, it not like us, how many stats do I really have in stock? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. I believe that there were different types of records for different types of scenarios. It kind of felt like to me, or what I assume in the studio for Kendrick was like a wartime type vibe where they're just working on different ideas, and him and whatever producers or beats or however him and his team are strategizing, and he's knocking out these records for different occasions based on how the battle was going to go. That is just my belief. If you agree with me, go ahead and let me know. If you think I'm reaching, go ahead and let me know. Like I said, just be respectful. Meet the Gram drops, and here Kendrick directly addresses and name Drake's son. Now he directly drops it. First verse to Drake's son by name. Verse 2 is to Drake's mom. Verse 3 is to a supposed daughter that we don't know about. And then verse 4 is to Drake himself. Dear Aubrey, I know you probably thinking I wanted to crash your party, but truthfully, I don't got a hating bone in my body. This is supposed to be a good exhibition within the game, but you fucked up the moment you called out my family's name. So Kendrick is telling him, hey, this is where you fucked up at. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the point where you fucked up at. Remember, on Family Matters, towards the beginning, Drake is like, you mentioned my seed, now you gotta deal with his dad. So he's telling Kendrick where they fucked up at. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're not seeing shit on the same level, but Kendrick is saying you fucked up the moment you called out my family's name. Again, so who violated first? And could this battle have gone another way? I think we get more clarity on that if and when we get details on the communication between Kendrick and Drake about keeping it a friendly fade after push-ups drops. There was definitely some communication between them after push-ups about like, yo, just ease up. Yo, keep this a friendly fade. Yo, let's just make this about rap. I don't know exactly what was said. I don't know exactly how it was left. But I think if we get more details about that, it sheds more light on this. My opinion has always been this, and I asked y'all questions, and again, I want to hear y'all opinion. My opinion has always been, and if you watch me, you know what it is, has always been the first mention of Whitney just changed this into something else. You know what I'm saying? Euphoria angered Drake, no doubt. He was being attacked as a dad. His character was being attacked. He felt it was directed at his son, and we get Family Matters. He ups the ante. But to me, the first mention of Whitney and push-ups, even though he ain't saying nothing wrong, I'll be around some bodyguards like Whitney, just changed this into something else. Same thing with Pusha T on W, right? I let it ring on you like Virginia Williams. Didn't really say nothing about the man's wife, but just the mere mention, it's almost like, oh, okay, I'll take it there. It's like letting you know I could take it there. It's like it's a cute little way of being like, nah, I'll take it there. You know what I'm saying? You know, so we got up the ante with Family Matters, and then Kendrick ups the ante with Meet the Grams, and then Not Like Us the next day. Back to back on them. I said it before. Kendrick, to me, overall, had the better records and the better strategy. He was prepared for everything that Drake threw at him. But that's just what I think. Let me know what you think. Hit me in the comments, man. It's all love, all right? Till next time. Peace.